I'm the review reviewer. You review it, I review you. This is my partner, Mr. It. Today, we're taking a look at JesuOtaku's review of Kaze no Stigma. Hey! Hey! Wake up! Please don't.
I hate morning breath.
Eyes as blue as the azure sky. That is the symbol of the contractor, entrusted by the spirit king of the wind with the powers of his domain. I bear this mark, the stigma of the wind.
Don't you just hate it when shows do that?
Kazuma Yagami is coming home after 10 years of absence.
4 years, actually. But continue.
He was once Kazuma Kanagi, the eldest son of the fire magic-wielding Kanagi family. One member of the family, the Kanagi's Kazuma's father, enters into a contract with the spirit king of an element, for the Kanagi's fire, and they are given absolute power over that element, and their relatives inherit the ability to wield its magic powers. The only problem was...
Not every Kanagi can control their fire. One king in particular was terrified of it.
Kazuma could not. As son of the contractor, he could have been next in line to head the Kanagi family, but was easily defeated by the current head's daughter, who was given the spiritual sword and Raiha instead. His father did not take it well.
His son just got his ass kicked by a girl. Few fathers take that well.
This is pathetic. You're supposed to be the heir to the head of the family. Stop crying. I was wrong for trying to make you learn fire magic. Now there's no longer any need for you to practice it. And there's no longer any place for you in this family. The Kanagis are fire magic users, and you're not. Pack your things and go.
I'm sorry. Father, forgive me. I'll try to do better. Please.
You've shamed me for the last time. Now leave!
There's not taking it well, then there's just being a dick.
Kazuma, cast away from the family, spent his years scraping by alone until he discovered that his true talents lay in another element entirely, and became the new contractor for the Spirit King of the Wind. Now he's returned home to show up his family.
Why do I get the feeling that whole second star of the right thing isn't too far off?
On the technical side of things, Kaze no Stigma is gonzo, but it looks fine. Stop looking at me like that.
Despite being a fan of anime, I have no idea why that's such a big deal.
It never really tries to go above and beyond. It looks average, but I think it helps that there's not a great deal of motion in this action anime, so there's not as many opportunities for things to go off-model. That's not to say the action scenes in Kaze no Stigma aren't good. Actually, they're pretty well done. But the characters aren't jumping around kicking and punching. They're usually standing in one place or jumping to the side while throwing magical powers at each other. This means that the only thing that deserves much mention here visually are the atmospheric effects, the wind, fire, and magic that's on screen 90% of the time. And I can give high compliment to Gonzo for not defaulting to CG here, as they are wont to do.
How does what work?
Wind can either eradicate or expand fire.
The music is barely noticeable. The only theme I picked up on is this heavy traditional taiko drum sound that a lot of the battle themes use, and a lot of traditional Japanese instrumentation in general.
Well, if everything was spectacular, then we wouldn't have very much room on our iPods, now would we?
The acting in both languages is good, and in both cases, perhaps because of his uniqueness, Kazuma's voice actor steals the show. He's played in Japanese by Daisuke Ono, who is rather famous for his unusual blend of dulcet seductiveness and controlled rage, which, as I'll get into, fits this character to a T. For the dub, a similar effect is achieved by casting Robert McCollum, who, well, he's been with Funimation for eons, but goes unfairly unnoticed most of the time because he's often cast as very mean and awful people. He brings a lot of that merciless harshness to Kazuma while still keeping him human and sympathetic. But that's the funny thing. How sympathetic is this character supposed to be?
I get the feeling that he's one of those characters that you want to feel for, but he's such a dick sometimes it's kind of hard to.
It's an excellent question because if nothing else, Kazuma is an unpredictable force. He spent so much of his life being helpless that for as much as he's showing off now, he's dying to make up for lost time and use what he's been given to benefit others. But then he holds out on his own family because he's bitter and makes harsh judgments on most people for the same reasons. what really drives him and just how good or trustworthy he is often blowing in the wind.
Ha ha. It's punny.
This is a fantastic recipe for an unforgettable, complex protagonist, but Kaze no Stigma doesn't really know how to cook what they've mixed up. And
Hey, who wants to get that joke count higher?
there's no dominating motivation in his character to dictate when he's compelled to use his powers to help people and when he's just a massive douche canoe. Just look at this.
I didn't acquire this power to let people die. I have a responsibility to protect others now. I was only hired to protect you, Ayano, so I won't be babysitting anyone else. If they're coming with us, their safety's your problem.
Hey kids, let's play a game. It's called Politicians. 1 second I'll say one thing and then another moment I'll say something totally different.
The whole point of this power is to save lives.
You're saying you're not here to rescue me? The only reason you saved me is because you're being paid?
I play to the highest bidder, kid. I'm not a hero. If there's any chance Ren's inside, I'll be careful.
That's awful.
I suppose so. But you can't say these bastards didn't have it coming to them.
What, you make up your mind already? Here's the icing on this awful cake, though. Kazuma is also a painfully inactive character. He's consistently acknowledged to be the most powerful being in town, but
To be fair, this show's making it way too easy to make Peter Pan jokes.
Kazuma isn't particularly forced to act, of course, until about episode 17 of this 24-episode series, which is when I am dead serious, the plot finally starts.
How the fuck do you go that long without plot?
It's particularly bad because I do think this premise had promise. I don't think it's totally generic or that it deserves this treatment. You know what I saw in this idea? I saw the great potential to focus on themes of family and finding your place in a family that doesn't want you. You have a mistreated son who goes out, does great things, and then comes home to show what he's capable of, only to be used for it. He gains respect, but never love and affection from his family, at least not from the people he'd expect to get it from. You could do so much with that idea, and they do nothing. It's really not the focus here.
Which is weird, because you'd think that would be painfully obvious to do.
It goes without saying that none of these characters are given satisfactory development either, and I apologize for not talking about Ayano as much, but she's textbook tsundere. That's all there is to her.
A textbook what?
So yeah, I'm actually convinced this is a great concept, or could be, but in the end, nothing worthwhile is done here. It blows, and it leaves you feeling a little bit burned.
Too much fun, too much fun, too much fun, too much fun!
I give Kaze no Stigma 2 deadly elemental attacks.
God, I hate rating systems like that.
Overall, this review is good, but a major drawback of it is the fact that she's giving her analysis of it while making jokes in the subtitles. It's kind of hard to focus on the jokes while listening to the analysis, and vice versa. Now, the jokes are good and the analysis is well done. I just don't think that it's a good thing to have them on top of each other like this.
I'm the reviewer. You review it, I review you.
一つの痛みが重く